Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Mike D'Antoni joining the Brooklyn Nets coaching staff. I had a couple of other plans for the second video today, and then this ended up happening, and I just knew that I had to talk about it because I certainly have some thoughts on this. This is something that has been kind of rumored a little bit. We didn't really know what was going to happen with D'Antoni's coaching status this offseason. Now we know, and again, I certainly have some thoughts. Really quickly though, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every day. It's a great place for consistent NBA content, and we're pushing towards 100,000 subscribers on this channel. You can also leave a like rating on the video. It helps me out a ton. It lets me know that you're enjoying this specific piece of content, and it helps out get the video out to more people on YouTube as well. And you can also come hang out with me outside of these videos on twitch.tv/spolo_TD and in the Discord server, which is linked down in the description below. With those things said, let's go ahead and get started and talk about Mike D'Antoni joining the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to just get this part out of the way. I don't like this. As a Nets fan, I don't think it's a good idea. And I thought that we had gotten to the point where we were kind of safe from this, and that this idea and this rumor was just going to pass. D'Antoni was going to take the year off from coaching, and he was going to find a head coaching job next year rather than join the Nets staff in Brooklyn. So my issue with this is I never like the idea of having, when you're talking about someone like Steve Nash that's never held the head coaching position before, I never like the idea of having a very, very clear backup plan if something hits the fan. And that's how I feel about having Mike D'Antoni on the bench. Aside from the awkwardness of having been Steve Nash's coach in the past and things like that, understanding those guys are professionals, they'll figure it out. They won't make it too weird. But I never like the idea of not allowing the first-time head coach guy to really get a chance to, coach the team and to be in an environment that is good for a first-year head coach. And I just don't believe that having someone as experienced, someone that just coached a successful Rockets team for the last handful of years, I don't love the idea of having that guy on the bench when the first-time head coach that's never held any coaching position on the bench in the NBA to this point in his career. I never like the idea of having that other guy there because it's just such a clear plan in the players' heads to continually think, oh, we're on a 5-game losing streak in the regular season. This coach doesn't know what he's doing. Let's get the guy that's done this before. He'll actually know what he's doing. It creates a rift that I don't want to be there. Apart from that, I think that it's going to be kind of awkward. Like, you've got Steve Nash, you've got Amari Stoudemire, and you've got Mike D'Antoni all on the same coaching staff. And Steve Nash is the head coach, then you've got player development guy Amari Stoudemire, and then D'Antoni there as well. And I don't get it. I also don't like it for D'Antoni, which I'll get to later, but it just is such a weird situation. I never wanted this for this team. And as excited as I am to see what Steve Nash is like as a head coach, and as much as I enjoyed and I appreciated the outside of the box thinking that went into bringing in Nash in the first place, and I've talked about how much, I like that hire and the idea of it. If you're going to bring in Mike D'Antoni, a lot of that gets reversed for me. A lot of the outside the box thinking gets reversed. Why wouldn't you have just brought in D'Antoni in the first place? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you have just made him the head coach if you were going to have him on the bench anyway? And I'm be honest, this really bugs me, and I don't think it's the correct decision. And it's not that I have anything against Mike D'Antoni as a head coach. Like, if some other team around the league had hired him, I would have been like, okay, that's fine, that's great. It's this specific situation in Brooklyn where it's so unnecessary and it's so just not needed, in my opinion. And for D'Antoni, I don't understand the upside either. I really don't. This is a guy that if, things go well in Brooklyn next year, I guess he could turn this into a head coaching position, somewhere else next year, the year after, but that would have been the case regardless. Like, just because he didn't get a job this off season doesn't mean that he wouldn't have been able to get one at another job a year or two from now, which isn't really going to be helped by being an assistant in Brooklyn. Like, people know what Mike D'Antoni's about at this point, and, if they want to reach out and hire him, whatever he does as an assistant coach in Brooklyn is not going to help his job prospects in any way, at least in my opinion. Now, is there a possibility here that D'Antoni brings some kind of offensive expertise that has not yet been passed down to Steve Nash in the years and years and years that they coached and played together? Yeah, that's possible. And maybe he's someone that is going to, be the architect of one of the best offenses in the league next year. Maybe that's the case. But it feels awkward, it feels odd, it feels strange, and it feels like there's now even more pressure on Steve Nash than there was already as a guy that's never held an NBA head coaching position before. And maybe the root of the problem is bringing in Steve Nash in the first place, and that never should have happened. Maybe you could make that argument. If they didn't do that, it wouldn't be so awkward. D'Antoni as an assistant with someone else as the head coach, maybe might not have been as weird and strange, but I don't like this at all. And I hate to think about it this way, but my other thought is like, what did Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant think about this? Because so much thought, it felt like, went into bringing in Steve Nash as the head coach as someone that should build a good relationship with Kevin Durant, with Kyrie Irving. And if that isn't the case with the assistant coaches as well, then what's the point of making it, a point with the head coach? You know what I mean? Like, they still have to interact with these guys, and if they have a problem with Mike D'Antoni, like, he's probably going to get canned. So what was the point in the first place? And I know that's such a weird situation to be held so hostage by two of your star players, but that's the position that the Nets have put themselves in to this point anyway. And it was clear that that was at least part of the reason that Steve Nash was hired in the first place as well. So overall, when you look at it just without the names, when you just overview the situation and you're looking at, okay, we've got a guy that is a two-time MVP, but it's his first time as an NBA head coach. He's never held a coaching position before, but should be a pretty good offensive mind and someone that should be able to build a relationship well with someone like Kyrie Irving and someone like Kevin Durant, has a previous relationship with Kevin Durant and has a, experience that he can draw on in order to relate to Kyrie Irving, right? But then you've also got this other guy on the bench that is coached the head coach and is significantly older, significantly more experienced, and to a certain extent, significantly more respected around the league as well. And if something hits the fan, it's going to be pretty clear who's going to be the next guy up. When you take the names out of that, it already feels weird. It already feels strange. But then when you throw Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni into it, I struggle with this one. I really do. I try my best to give the Nets the benefit of the doubt because over the last couple of years, I feel like they've earned that. And I was okay with the Kenny Atkinson firing. I was okay with a Steve Nash hiring. And at certain points, I even, advocated for it isn't the right word because I didn't know about it beforehand, but I championed it afterwards. I was like, this is a great idea. This is such outside the box thinking. I'd rather have Steve Nash than Stan Van Gundy or Doc Rivers or any of the other, retreads they could have possibly hired. Mark Jackson, Ty Lue. I would rather have Steve Nash than any of those other guys. But if you're just going to bring in Mike D'Antoni to sit on the bench, then I would rather have D'Antoni himself or any of the other guys that I mentioned previously because of the dynamic between D'Antoni and Nash. That's just for me personally. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe everybody's going to love this hire, but the pressure that it puts on Nash, the awkwardness, I don't like it at all. And yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.